If you are a fan of bittersweet endings, if you're a fan of being underwhelmed or disappointed, then Seattle Seahawk football might just be for you. How's it going, Hawk fans? This is Rob English, your Socal Seahawk, and thank you for joining me on this edition of Short Yardage. And today we are going to recap I guess you want to call it a football game between the Seattle Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers on Sunday. And real quick before we get going, just want to go ahead and send a quick shout out. Seattle Sports Union, please like, follow, subscribe, Seattle Sports Union. Find us at seattlesportsunion.com on the web, at Seattle Sports Union on Facebook, and at Seattle Sports U on Twitter. Seattle Sports Union, dedicated, passionate, and united in support of Seattle sports. We do everything from the rain to the mist, the Cougars, the Thunderbirds, the Sounders, the Storm, Huskies, Seahawks, Mariners, and everything in between. So, follow us, Seattle Sports U. But back to the matter at hand here. The Seattle Seahawks had another poor outing on Sunday afternoon at the Clink, this time against the San Francisco 49ers. I mentioned it being bittersweet earlier because in this situation we actually came out, on top. But it's about as ugly and disappointing and just negative as a win can be. I mean, typically a win is positive almost no matter what. But I feel like we learned more about ourselves again this week, about how bad we are than how good we are. Or at least how badly we can play. The one thing we did have going for us was the defense. The defense for the second week in a row has shown that it is here to play. It is still the vaunted Seattle Seahawks defense that it has been for the last number of years. That continued. We held Hoyer to less than 100 yards. Actually had 99 yards passing plus a pick. We did, however, give up over 120 yards to Carlos Hyde. Granted that most of those yards was on one big run that we just got caught out of position on. So if you take away that one big run, we kind of held Carlos Hyde down as well. But it just seems that, obviously you don't ever overlook an NFL team. There's only 32 teams in the NFL and they're all professional teams. So you can't ever overlook anyone. That, we can put that to rest. That goes without saying. But it just, you get to a point where you expect your team as good as you expect your team to be, as good as you think your team is. You expect certain levels of play, especially against teams that you consider to not even be on the same level as you, or not even, again, they're all NFL teams, but there's some NFL teams that are just not as good as others. And it's not generally believed that the 49ers are as good as the Seahawks. Certainly not 12-9 as good. I certainly felt that this game should be won by 2 or 3 scores. And that didn't happen. One thing I am noticing is we're having it's the miscues that I think that are really hurting us. Drop passes. The offensive line did not do any better. The offensive line still, this week, the offensive line actually opened up some holes for Chris Carson. Is maybe the offensive line got some beef against Thomas Rawls? Because Thomas Rawls gets nothing going, but Chris Carson is actually able to get the ball going. He had nearly 100 yards this week. Chris Carson, for the second week in a row, has shown a whole lot of promise. I don't know that Thomas Rawls is quite 100% yet, or if they're giving him 100% of what they would typically. But he certainly hasn't been the Thomas Rawls that we, grew to know, love, and expect in a short period of time. So we're hoping to see more from him. But Chris Carson, in the meantime, is doing a good job, doing a really good job. Got to give a big pat on the back to Paul Richardson, who went out there and broke his finger. Per one report that I heard, that the bone was actually sticking out through the skin. And they put it back into place, sewed it up, taped it up, and he went back out there and caught the game-winning touchdown pass. So big up to Paul Richardson there. Obviously, the last thing that we need is another injury to one of our receivers. But yeah, wow. I mean, great. Big up to Luke Wilson. Luke Wilson, who made a big play in that game and was steady throughout. I tell you, I get more and more over Jimmy Graham. I said before that I think that we would get just as good a production out of Luke Wilson than Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham we had one catch for 1 yard. I don't know how many targets he had total, but he had one catch for 1 yard. Luke, on the other hand, had 3 catches for 25. And he had that long 19-yard one where he hurdled over a player, just looking like a guy playing with his whole heart. Jimmy Graham, the superstar tight end that we signed, 1 catch for 1 yard. I don't know if it's because, is it because they're double teaming him and we can't get the ball to him? I'm not really noticing that. Is he just not getting seemingly open? Are we holding him in on blocking? What's the problem? Why can't we get the ball to Jimmy Graham? I guess is my question. I might start watching some tape and try to figure out why we can't get the ball to Jimmy Graham. Why Jimmy Graham is never an option. 1 catch for 1 yard. Russell Wilson, on the other hand, I think he looked okay. He still seemed to be... Well, actually, before we go about Russell Wilson, because we're talking about receivers, I praise Paul Richardson for his heart. But dropping the ball in the end zone and dropping the ball on the way to the end zone was a problem on Sunday. It's sometimes I find it hard to say things are a problem because it happened just once. It's just the gravity of when it happens. CJ Prosize caught the ball inside the 5-yard line on a look like a in or a slant route, coming from Russell Wilson's left. And if he catches the ball, he's gonna get in the end zone. I mean, it's pretty good. If you go back and watch it, it's pretty good chance he's gonna get in there. So there's that. Yeah, Prosize easily, I think, would have gotten to the end zone. And then our good little buddy, Tanner McAvoy. Tanner McAvoy has been a really, I think, a feel-good story for the Seahawks. He's, seems to be the kind of guy who's, the long shot, if you will. A little known guy, makes the NFL roster, and every once in a while he gets the opportunity to do something big, and he typically does. But for the last 2 weeks, I think that Tanner McAvoy has, I don't know if he's got some bubble guts in his belly or what, but Tanner McAvoy dropped the ball in the end zone. And initially, when I looked at the Tanner McAvoy drop, when you first watch it, it looks like maybe there was contact that knocked the ball loose. But there was no contact that knocked the ball loose. Tanner McAvoy, actually, if you watch the replay in slow motion, the ball hits his hands and simply bounces right off of him. So he just failed to, cradle the ball. You got to make that diamond when you catch a football, as they tell you when you're a kid. He just failed to catch it. Just based on the actual what you watch when you watch the replay, it would stand to reason that he would have dropped that ball even if there was no San Francisco 49er player in his area. That obviously probably wouldn't be the case, but still, he didn't drop the ball because of contact. He dropped the ball. The only contact there was between the ball and his hands, and he just didn't catch it. So there's two plays right there that I think easily. I mean, for sure, it's 14 points right there that would have made this game look, sound, and feel more, correct. What the game should have been. But they didn't happen. They didn't happen. And we've got to correct those. Because if we're going to miss those types of opportunities, we've got to get other stuff going. I mean, again, a pass is going to get dropped every once in a while. So it's not like we're expecting, or I'm expecting to make these guys to never fail. Passes are going to get dropped from time to time. But they mean so much more. They weigh so much more when everything else is broken too. When you finally get an opportunity, when you finally get a break and you drop it, it's like these breaks are not coming one after another for the Seahawks right now. I know we're only 2 weeks into the season, but they're not coming, end on end. They're not. They are few and far between, they seem. So when your breaks come few and far between, you have to capitalize on them. So dropping passes that are sure touchdowns just really isn't going to cut it. But again, the defense did their job again today. Bobby Wagner had the pick. Bobby Wagner got the pick and nearly gave it right back. Luckily, Richard Sherman was there to fall on it. But Bobby, you got to make sure if you're gonna make an interception and run it, great. But you can't get hit by a wide receiver and give the ball back and cough the ball back up. That's no bueno. But defense played great. The defense has played great through 2 weeks. I have very little to complain about as far as the defense is concerned. Hoyer, granted that Hoyer is nobody's dream quarterback. We kept him under wraps all game. Would you next gen stats say, believe this or not, Hoyer didn't complete a single pass that was more than 10 yards down the field. That's pretty. I think that's pretty good. Every single pass that he didn't throw that many. So I mean, the defense was able to hold Hoyer to the point where he did not even have, I'm assuming, time to go through his progressions or even look even any more than 10 yards down the field. And if he did look, he couldn't find anything. Within 10 yards, left, middle, and right, respectively, he was 3 for 4, 3 for 7, and 6 for 9. He threw, and it was, so I mean, that's saying something. That's saying something. 99 yards, 15 for 27 for 99 yards. That's huge. If a quarterback can't throw the ball downfield, how do you expect him to do anything? So the defense is playing great football. And we need them to keep playing great football, because should the defense lapse, we're really going to be in a hard spot, because the offense has started off in a lapse. The offense is one big lapse. So the defense is really the only thing that keeps us afloat here, keeps us in the game till the offense finally has an opportunity to to get in the end zone or do something, anything. And now this week we have the Tennessee Titans coming in. The Titans are coming off a shellacking of the Jacksonville Jaguars, 37-16. It was thought that maybe Jacksonville might be playing some football this year. They played so well in week 1, but not so great in week 2 against Tennessee. So we're unsure who Tennessee is going to be at this point. They started off slow. I mean, I think at the half it was 6-3 Tennessee, but they scored 17 unanswered in the third, and put up 14 more in the fourth. So they really started playing football in the second half. Now we've got to deal with a mobile quarterback, and we've got to deal with one and frankly two good running backs. We've got to deal with a good tight end, and we've got a crew of decent receivers. Mariota threw for 215, 15 for 27, 1 TD, 1 pick. Decent day. Henry. So we just got gouged by Carlos Hyde. Okay. Let's not discount. Although I said earlier that the big run that he had really made up the bulk of his yards, and without that run, he didn't really do all that much to us. But that shouldn't suggest that we can discount it, because 120 yards rushing is 120 yards rushing. Derrick Henry certainly has the ability to bust a big run like that. And frankly, so does DeMarco Murray. And we got both of them. Their spell back, or their third down back, is nearly just as dangerous as their main back. So we have to be on the run. We have to be on the run the whole game, especially late in the game when those big runs tend to sneak out. Marcus Mariota, we got a mobile quarterback here. I like in this game to kind of how we would go up against Cam Newton and the Panthers in previous years. We've done a very good job against the Panthers in that we never let Cam Newton beat us with his feet. We have Cam Newton, and they had their running back as well. His name escapes me, but we've done pretty good. And those are always hard-fought games against Carolina, but we do well corralling that. We don't let Cam Newton get away with us, and we still hold down the run. Jonathan Stewart is what I was trying to think of. So I think that I would imagine a similar game plan will go into this game, similar to what we would go into with the Carolina Panthers. Tight end, Delaney Walker is good. He had 4 catches for 60 yards on Sunday, and he's good. And we have had trouble with good tight ends in recent years. And if there's any tight end out there that can give us fits, it's Delaney Walker. Delaney Walker really runs around out there looking like a wide receiver. He's like a big wide receiver. He's really good. And he's the kind of tight end I think that can give us problems if he breaks free over the middle, or if you get him into open space. He can cause problems. So we're gonna have a little bit of a challenge there on defense. But if defense can keep hold and serve as they have so far this year, then we should be okay. There's going to be plenty to deal with on the defensive side, I should say on our offensive line side, because Russell Wilson still does not have a offensive line that he deserves. And we've got to deal with the likes of Brian Orakpo and Wesley Woodyard. These guys that are really good, and they're going to be loving to come after Russell. So it's going to be a good game. And And when I say good game, I mean it's going to be a hard game. It's not going to be an easy game, I don't think. Going on the road, especially, I mean, I say it every single time. Going on the road is no guarantee for Seattle. It doesn't matter who we're playing. We could be playing a Division 1, Division 2 college, and if we're on the road, who knows? So we're going into Tennessee, and it's gonna be a battle. All right, that's gonna do it for Short Yardage. I'll be checking in with you guys again after the game. Again, check us out on Seattle Sports Union, SSU. That is SeattleSportsUnion.com on the web, at Seattle Sports Union on Facebook, and at Seattle Sports U on Twitter. Check us out. Like and follow and subscribe and all that good stuff. This is Rob English, your Socal Seahawk. Signing off. Go Hawks.